This is the morning of the 28th of October. I just spent the last 35 minutes trying to upload this video. And when I went to upload it, there was nothing there. This is something you need to listen to. I'll play the first 15 minutes of it, but you need to watch this through its entirety. And it's Barack Obama. I'm not a fan of Barack Obama, but what he says here is 100% on the mark. What they're not telling you is that the GOP is terrified of Trump's next move, Obama. Isn't that exactly what I had said countless times? He's got them all terrified. He's going to go after their livelihood like he's going after Thomas Massie. And he's got the power of the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and the cross-eyed Kash Patel that runs the FBI. I bet you they're looking into Thomas Massie's background right back to when he was born. They're looking to find dirt on him because Thomas Massie is standing outside of what Donald Trump wants to accomplish. He's pushing for the release of the Epstein files. Again, folks, you need to listen to what Obama says, and you need to pass it along to your like-minded friends. I'll play the first 15 minutes of it, but you watch through its entirety. I'm hoping this works this time.
I read a headline today that stopped me cold. President Trump tests GOP pressure points with DOJ moves. I had to read it twice. It's quiet news. In a way, it's not a loud explosion. It's more like hearing a faint, steady crack in the foundation of the House. The report, when you dig into it, suggests that the Department of Justice, our Department of Justice is being used to send signals to exert pressure, not on the opposing party, not on foreign agents, but on members of the president's own party. Think about that for a moment. Imagine you are an elected official. You took an oath not to a man or a party, but to the Constitution, to the people who sent you to Washington, and you have a tough vote. You're wrestling with your conscience. You're thinking about your district, but then you hear a whisper, a rumor, that if you step out of line,
Wealthfront
Ad popped up. I'll get rid of it.
if you don't show complete loyalty, perhaps the most powerful law enforcement body in the world might take a sudden deep interest in you. Maybe an investigation is floated. Maybe just the threat of one. This isn't about a specific case. It's about using the idea of a case as a political weapon, as a warning. The article mentioned people are reacting with anger and fear. Of course they are. It's designed to create fear. It's a tactic of control. And when I read that, I don't just feel disappointment. I feel a deep familiar ache because this isn't a game. The DOJ is not a political instrument. It is supposed to be the one place where power stops at the door, and the only thing that matters is the law. We are seeing that principle tested, and we have to ask, is this who we are? Now, when I had the honor of serving in the office I hold so dear, the Department of Justice was something I thought about every single day. I wasn't perfect. No president is. Lord knows I made my share of mistakes. But I understood one fundamental truth, that building, the one named for Robert F. Kennedy, it has to be separate. It must be insulated from the day-to-day political winds blowing down Pennsylvania Avenue. The Attorney General, the prosecutors, the agents, they don't work for the president. They work for the people. Their client is the United States of America. Their only client is the law. You've all seen the statue, Justice wearing a blindfold. She wears that blindfold for a reason. It's not just decoration.
It's really not true, Barack, because they vote party line. They're not, the blindfold's a joke. You know, they gave that bag of shit immunity. They're going to probably vote on the 5th of November that his tariffs are legal, because they're terrified of him. He's probably got all kinds of files on every one of those members of the Supreme Court and they know it.
It's a promise that she doesn't care if you are rich or poor. She doesn't care if you are a Democrat, a Republican.
That's not true, Barack, because if that were true, Trump would be in Rikers Island where he belongs.
Or an independent. She especially doesn't care if you agree with the president. That blindfold is the bedrock of our system. It's the covenant we make with
It's supposed to be, Barack, but it's not.
each other. That the awesome power of the state, the power to investigate, to charge, to take away someone's freedom, will never, ever be used for personal gain, never be used for political revenge, or as these reports suggest, for party discipline. The moment that blindfold slips, the moment justice starts to peak, everything we believe in is at risk.
Look at all those FBI agents that worked on January 6th that got fired. Or the agents that worked on Mar-a-Lago when they found thousands of classified documents scattered all over the place. They also got fired for doing their jobs.
What we are seeing described is not justice, it's leverage. It's the behavior of an autocrat, not the president of a free republic. And it corrodes the sacred trust that holds this country together. We deserve better. Let's step away from the headline for a second and think about the human cost. Let's make this real. Put yourself in the shoes of one of those lawmakers. Maybe they are from your state. They went to Washington promising to do the right thing, to fight for their constituents. They believe in their party, but they also believe in their oath. Now they face a choice. The president wants one thing. Their conscience or the people back home might want another. In a healthy democracy, that's normal.
See, Barack, here's the problem. They're worthless representatives. Okay, they don't do anything. They vote party line. They're not representing their constituents. They're just kowtowing to Trump because they're afraid of him. They're afraid that he's going to turn the FBI on them. He's going to turn the Attorney General on them. They're afraid of losing their golden merry-go-rounds. They're afraid of losing their pension. They're afraid of losing what they've got. That's why the system doesn't work, Barack.
It's called debate. That's called representation. People disagree. They vote. They make their case. They live with the consequences. Big retail.
Another ad just popped up.
But what happens when that's not the calculation? What happens when the choice isn't just, will this vote hurt me in the next election? What happens when the choice becomes vote with the president or risk having your life, your family, your finances torn apart by a federal investigation?
Look what Trump's already done. He's got another representative that he wants to run against Thomas Massey in Kentucky. And he's supporting that guy. I mean, the other representatives are aware of the power that Trump has to destroy their livelihood. Thing's a joke.
That is not a political choice. That is coercion. That is a threat. It silences dissent. It replaces courage with compliance. It makes good people afraid to do the right thing. And what happens to our country when our leaders are making decisions not based on what is right, but on what is safe? What happens when they are motivated by fear of retaliation rather than by the public good? The fear people are reacting to. But it's not just about the politicians, it's the fear that the system itself is breaking. It's the fear that the very people we sent to represent us are being trapped. They are being forced to choose between their duty and their political survival. That is a terrible, impossible choice. And it is a choice that no public servant in the United States of America should ever have to make. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, Barack, that's Washington. That's just politics. It's a tough game. It doesn't really affect me, but it does. It affects all of us deeply. Why? Because if the Department of Justice can be pointed at anyone for political reasons, it can eventually be pointed at everyone. If a sitting member of Congress isn't safe from political retaliation, what about a governor? What about a mayor who disagrees with a federal policy? What about a school board member? What about a private citizen who speaks out or organizes a protest? The rule of law is not a switch you can turn on and off. It's not something you can apply only to your enemies and ignore for your friends or even for your allies. It is a promise. It is the invisible shield that protects you. It protects your right to speak freely. It protects your right to disagree with me or with any other president. It ensures that if you are ever accused of something, you will be judged on the facts, and the facts alone, not on your political beliefs. When we see reports that this shield is being used as a sword, that is being used to demand loyalty, shield cracks and the trust is broken, and the America we deserve, the America we strive for, is one where nobody is above the law and nobody is below its protection.
If nobody is above the law, Trump would be in Rikers Island. He's a convicted felon, for Christ's sake. I'm going to stop this at the 7-minute and 11-second mark. It's a 32-minute clip. Please listen to it through its entirety and pass it along. I cannot do this alone. Let's hope it works this time.